Walking Blind is hosted by overly emotional dudes who overthink and overanalyze everything. Nothing the hosts say should be taken as medical advice or opinion. They're not professionals, and they're about to make that very clear. So just kick back and hang with them, because you've earned it. Now cue that music.
You ready, Holmes?
Yeah. Am I doing it?
I think we're good.
All right. Am I doing the intro?
You want to do the intro?
Sure.
Ooh, he's getting more confident, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Let's hear it, dude.
Welcome back to the Walking Blind podcast. I'm Mike. This is Mike. Episode 10.
We made it. We've done it.
We did it.
This is a milestone for us.
We're doing it.
I'm excited. I actually didn't even realize it was episode 10 today until you said episode 10. Because the whole time I was thinking that our Spider-Man episode last week with Ty and Daniel was episode 8. And then when I uploaded it, I was like, oh, that was episode 9. That's right.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Here we are.
Here we are, episode 10.
We're doing it for reals. I don't know where to put this.
It's been an interesting day. I feel like we did a lot, but we didn't do much at all.
Yeah. Yeah. We got coffee, which is what we tend to do. This time we had our buddy Andrew with us. It was, Mike, myself, Martin, and Andrew. Mm-hmm. We got coffee. Then we went to Olivia's, which is one of Riverside's precious gems.
Precious gems, one of the finest.
Yeah.
This episode is not sponsored by Olivia's, but if you're in the mood for phenomenal Mexican food, make sure you check that out.
Olivia's on the corner of Van Buren and Magnolia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then what else? Then I went home. Actually, I don't even think I told you guys. I was home and my
Your brother was there.
brother was there. Dude, I should just go into it first.
Let's do this. Let's start here. So last night we partied a bit, and last night was a nice little invite-only private show for Burner State, Mike's punk rock band. So we went and hung out at Union Barber and Beer Lounge. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to the whole family over there.
Yeah.
And then so we had a moment, and the reason we're telling this first is because I want to tie this into our mental health check. So Mike, I want Mike to explain it from his perspective, because I want you guys to feel the hurt that Mike felt last night.
My soul left my body. What happened? So, for anyone who doesn't know, I have a brother, and my brother and I are almost 6 years apart. We're 5 years apart, but we're almost 6 years. Yeah, and he is older. I'm the younger brother by almost 6 years. So, we just finished playing. My voice went out like 2 songs before we finished our set. And my voice went out two songs before we finished the set, and so I was already a little beaten down. I was already a little, And so I see my brother, so I go to say what's up to my brother.
I guess we should explain though the reason that your voice went out was
I was pushing way too hard.
Yeah, there's when it comes to like performing, and especially if there's singers out there, if there's any vocalists of any kind, you know how really important it is to be able to hear yourself. And when you're playing in small spaces, or you're playing in places that aren't really technically designed for live music, but we just make it work, and you can't hear yourself, there's a tendency to push harder than you should or to overexert yourself. And yeah.
And if we're being honest, like I knew pretty quickly that I was pushing really hard, but I also felt really good. Like if I was like, I think I can do this. Like I think I can stay, I can stay at this and finish the set like this. But I did not. Wheels fell off second to last song. And then, so anyway, so that happened. And then, so I'm walking over to my brother, and he's there talking with our buddies Jesse and Andrew. Were you there too? Mm-hmm. And Mike witnessed this. So we get there, and then like we I think we were introducing my brother to Jesse.
Yes.
And so we were introducing them, and Jesse says, "Mike, how does it feel?" Oh wait.
He looked at Mario.
He looked at my brother, and he said, "How does it feel to see like your future?"
Yeah. He said, "This is what you have to look forward to."
Yeah. Jesse said that to my brother, talking about me as if I was the older brother. Dude.
So that sparked the debate that we, for those of you that were just on the live with us, and then, and for those of you that have known Mike for any number of years, Mike always talks about wanting to color his hair. Yeah. I keep telling him, don't do it. Embrace the gray. It's a good look. He keeps telling me that he wants to do Just for Men box dye, and it's going to be jet black, and he's going to...
I'm not going to do jet black. I'm going to dye... People, you won't even know. People won't even notice. But yeah, I want to dye my hair because of comments like that. I don't know. I kind of would like to start dating and stuff too. I feel like that. I would like to do that. I feel like that will help.
Do you think that coloring your hair will help your dating life?
I don't know. No, it won't.
I don't think not, and I don't mean this in in any way towards you, but I don't think that
that's the problem.
I don't think the gray hairs in general are a big concern anymore. I actually think it's in fashion to have the salt and pepper look.
I think people just say that.
People are trying to color their hair to look like yours. Unconvinced. He's unconvinced, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, anyways, that being said, then let's do the MPHC, or as we like to call it, the Mike Perez health check. Where are you at?
Health check. Well, I'm currently really tired. I'm stressed because I'm looking into master programs for school. That's what I'm going to be doing. And my work situation is changing, but that'll be a positive thing for me. But as at the moment, it's still a big stress for me. And so, yeah, I'm pretty stressed. I've been pretty stressed out. Yesterday was nice for being able to play and getting rid of all that energy.
And I think even just the basic idea of having a Saturday night off.
That's true.
And getting to hang out with friends and
not have to worry.
And not have to worry,
That actually was pretty cool. This is this is only my second Saturday night off since I started working there almost 6 months ago. So, but yeah, it was cool. Last night was fun, much needed. Today was cool. Today was nice. Like we said, did all the coffee, Mexican food. I got to see my family. We were actually watching the Raider game. I mean, the Ram game.
I kind of figured when you were I walked in the house and my brother and my dad were watching the football game.
So I literally walk into the house. My brother and my dad sitting on the couch. The first thing that comes out of my brother's mouth is he goes, hey, what is it? Hey, Mikey, come over here. I want to show Dad what I have to look forward to. And I flipped off. I flipped off my pastor brother.
That's a man of the Lord. Man of the Lord's got jokes.
He's my brother first, so I can do that. So anyway, so that to tie that all in, mentally, it's been rough, but things that have been. I've been able to use to help me through it was I got to use music, perform. Today, actually driving here, I listened to the new Comeback Kid record, and I blasted it. I mean, I love that band.
It's so good.
So it just felt good.
Yeah.
And then I took that feel good feeling into Mike's house where they were watching paranormal videos that killed that right away. And I went into my scared mode. So when we watch these videos, they were watching paranormal, scariest TikTok, scariest YouTube things caught on camera.
Like real things caught on camera, you know.
Are they, so, and that's my attitude. That's my attitude towards it. Like, that's my way of like dealing with it. So like, anytime I see something, I'm going to be like, I mean, I was like, there could be someone back there pushing the door, or somebody could have threw it and they're off camera, or you can do that with like string. Like you can put string on that and do it. Like, so I say that throughout the,
there were a couple that there weren't really explanations for,
Yeah.
though, you know, there's a few that,
that doll one.
yeah, that's,
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
so for those of you that don't know, I think we've kind of touched on this, but Mike is not a fan of anything supernatural or horror related or anything of the fact. Even like movies with demons and monsters and TV shows and stuff, it scares him. It scares him. So we make it a point to pull him out of his comfort zone almost every time we hang out with him. It's fun that way.
I do my best to try to ruin everyone's time by being the guy that's like, it's string.
Yeah.
It's string.
Somebody's underneath that moving the head of the doll.
Why did they have the camera there in the first place? Like, why were they videotaping that? The one, the guy at the couch?
Yeah.
That one, I don't believe that one.
That's fair. That's fair.
The doll, though, looking at that one, nightmares. Anyway. How was...
Huh? Go ahead.
I was going to say, how was your mental health?
I'm all right. I'm tired.
Better news this week.
Yeah. Yesterday we definitely were on like a... Yeah, we had a great time last night. I came home and just completely crashed, and then I just felt like I didn't get enough sleep. But yeah, things have been slowly starting to fall into place. I definitely there's still a lot of stress going on. Like we have I have a record essentially to finish right now that is going to be the focus over the next couple weeks. And then I was just playing catch up on a lot of work, a lot of voiceover stuff that I had put off because one, I had gotten sick, and then my cousin got married, and then we were all over the place. Everything was busy, so it's just kind of playing catch up on everything and getting everything back in order. But overall, I feel good. Yeah. I feel good. I finally feel like better, almost 100%. I'm still kind of, it's that weird like lingering cold that just won't go away. Negative for COVID, antigen test, PCR test, all that stuff. No COVID there, but yeah. When
I don't sleep well, my allergies become very like I have allergies right now.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. It's not COVID, sadly.
It's not COVID. Yeah, and then other than that, I am a little stressed out because I do have them working on my roof, and that's a nice little $10,000 expense. So that's.
But it'll allow you to do other things that you need to get done.
True. Yeah. So when I bought this house, it's a tiny little place, but it's me and two dogs, And the idea was like, oh, let's get this place, and kind of like a lot of it was already done, but there's still work that could be done to make this place like way cooler, essentially. So the idea was like renovate the kitchen, get everything dialed in, and I was actually getting ready to make moves on the kitchen, like right behind us where we're at. There's like a wall that's kind of unnecessary. It's not even weight. Like you can throw stuff over the wall into the kitchen. Yeah. So like it's pointless. But before I was gonna work on that and make moves on that, I started realizing that there were a couple spots where there were like leaks in the ceiling. And it's Southern California. It doesn't really rain here, but when it does, you're like, oh, okay, I just need to take care of this. So it's definitely one of those things that needs to be done first so that we can start doing more renovation and more projects. With the end goal, I think I've finally, made the decision that once the kitchen's done, once the house is done, we're gonna build like an extension, like a studio space in the back, like a detached studio space in the backyard, where we're gonna move the podcast to. We're gonna move, kind of like the whole little studio space out there. So that's gonna take some time, but I think it's a better investment than us trying to find a place and rent out a place and everything like that. So, yeah.
Just excited. The plans we have, guys, it's gonna be dope.
Yeah, so keep rocking with us because we want this. I mean, we have fun doing this show. We want you guys to have fun with the show, and we want to kind of build this as much as possible.
Yeah. Oh, the quality is gonna get so much better, guys.
Yeah.
Production values and go up.
Yeah. Pretty soon we'll have multiple camera angles. Mm-hmm. If intern Harry would show up to do his job, we had a conversation about this just the other night. And he was like, "Yeah, man, I'm gonna come by, and I really want to be there." And no intern Harry tonight.
It's all right. We'll get him.
It's all right.
So would you say like the vocals that you're recording this week, is that going to be kind of like something that's going to be helpful for you mentally, or is that something that's going to add some stress to your life?
It's gonna be a little bit of both, to be honest. But last night, you and I had talked, and then Kelly was talking to us as well. And then you kind of said it like best. Like, I think with this project and with this new band, like figuring out how I was going to do the vocals, like finding my scream was a little bit different because there's definitely yeah, it's still a hardcore band. It's still heavy. It's still, everything that my previous band was, but it's also different at the same time because it's a little more like
it's just more straight up hardcore.
More straight up hardcore, and it's more like I actually.
I'm so sorry, I got to blow my nose.
It's cool. I actually approach this more angry, if that makes sense. So
angry is better than tough, at least in this case, for both of us.
So while Mike has his full-on allergy attack and has to go blow his nose, we can go ahead and pull up questions that we're going to be going over because we have a ton. We got on live. Well, Mike got on live. And before we go too in-depth into that, I want you guys to know this. Every time that you see Mike on a live stream or you see him setting up his phone, just know it takes about 38 minutes for him. It takes about 38 minutes for him to find the right angle and then lock in the lighting and then make sure that he's got it perfectly trained on him so that he looks good in the lives. So
I have to look good in the lives.
I want you guys to know that whenever he does this, whenever he gets on the live stream, he does a lot of work for you guys. It's a lot of work to make sure he's presentable, to make sure the backgrounds, look good. Everything looks nice around him.
Lit.
Yeah, everything's nicely lit. His beautiful hair is
gray hair
framed in the screen.
Maybe I should just get a filter. Makes my hair look darker.
Don't you have a go-to filter already?
Do I?
I don't know. Do you? I thought you had a go-to filter that you use every time.
Oh no, not go-to. I will straight up. Okay, I don't care how big this makes you sound. I will look for a filter that makes me look less gray.
You really do?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, I am the opposite, and I try and do as much as possible without a filter at all. If I have something and I look bad, I'll just go black and gray.
Smart.
Otherwise, No filters. It's all me, baby.
All natural,
Although I do
bro.
find angles that make me look less fat. That's
Well, I mean, we all gotta the MySpace angles.
oh man, yes.
All right, so question time.
So are we gonna do a full question episode? Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, question. Well, I think what's cool is that there's questions and then there's some like
Stories that we can tell.
like
All right.
tattoo and stuff.
So we do have a bunch of questions. Now we got these from the live. So if I didn't get your question word for word, I apologize. But we try to get it as accurate as possible. So let's start with questions from Brad. So, and Brad asked a lot. So we're not gonna ask all of Brad's questions back to back. We'll kind of jump back and forth. But he asked, "How do you balance the band life as friends and professionals?"
Like between us, or is that?
I don't know.
I should have asked him, huh?
I think it's
Or just in general, like friends.
maybe he's talking about the dynamic between band members. Like, how do you balance the band life between, let's say, you, Martin, Daniel, Tron, versus,
I mean, between friends and professional. I mean, I think we always try to see each other as friends. I feel like the professional thing comes in like last. Like at any time, like I feel like anytime you're like when we hang out as friends. Like it's fun. Like back, like even like back when we were like still touring, like Christian would have barbecues at his house, and we would all go.
yeah.
I think now it's just different because we all live in different spots. So I don't see the guys as often, but like, there is an MBR group chat that we have, and usually, obviously the last couple of months we've had actual things to talk about as far as music goes, but every now and then we'll post if someone has a cool something happen at their job, or if they got a new job, or I don't know, dude. I don't know. My allergies are so bad right now. But apologize if anyone's seen this on video. Very few of you do. But I think we keep it. I think it's more friends than it ever really is professional. I think.
I think realistically, like you're in a band. Most of you guys were friends already, anyways, or you became friends before they became part of the band type deal. You know what I mean? So it's kind of one of those things where like, and let's be real here, unless you're playing in a band that's like a full-time paying your bills, like if you're full-time living on the road, then is when it becomes more of like a conversation about like being professionals.
Yeah.
Because at that point, everybody's livelihoods rely on this band and rely on, booking the next tour, merch sales, decisions need to be made that completely affect you guys' livelihood. At this point I'm not in a band at all that affects my livelihood. With you guys, it's more of like, this is kind of turned back into like a passion project because you guys all have your own lives outside of the band.
Yeah. Even with we have our buddy Matt filling in for us, and it's funny, we like talked about pay, and like none of us really thought about that, but then it's like, oh yeah, we should probably figure out, pay him for helping us out and stuff. But at the same time, it's like I'm excited just to hang out with him because I haven't seen him forever. It's Matt is a buddy of ours that we've known for years because we've toured together in other bands. And he stayed at my house, and I'm like stoked about that I get to hang out with him. So, yeah, friendship,
friends first, professionals later. Okay, and then Brad also asked, and I think I worded this completely wrong. How does finding motivation to stay positive happen both in performing and talking to fans when the days are hard?
So basically how
do you stay, like when your days are tough, how do you stay positive performing and talking to fans essentially before, after shows, on lives, whatever the case may be?
Well, positivity is a choice. So I always start with that. Like, I feel like I have to choose to do it, even when I don't feel it. I'm choosing to look at things positively, even if I don't believe it or I don't want to. I'm still choosing to do it. And it makes it hard. Sometimes days are easier. Some days are easier than others. Another thing too, like, I think I'm pretty good at leaving things at the door and being what I need to be for the job. And so I took that with sports. I always showed up as a player and as a coach. When it's practice time, I'm there for baseball. Like, that's what it is. For band stuff on tour is hard because it's like you're literally living next to your bandmates and stuff. So it's hard to like put on a happy face when you're not feeling it.
Yeah.
But as far as like talking to people after the show or before the show, like I can put my stuff aside so I could be there for them.
Right.
And so I feel like and like something with my work, obviously I'm going through stuff, but when I'm there, once I clock in, I'm there for work, and I can focus on the task at hand. And then when I get off, I can go back to being, upset or whatever I'm feeling.
And then I guess this is kind of like my question to kind of add on to that. Like, how do you continue to keep things positive? Like, what do you do to keep things positive, especially when, you've become the person that everybody goes to, right? Because there's definitely trying to find that balance between, like, I know in the case of me and you, like, we have this show, but like at the same time, like, we kind of therapize each other. But like, what, how do you continue, making that choice to stay positive when, when everybody's kind of coming to you for advice or for help or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, how do you continue to maintain that, especially when things might be tough for you?
It's just hard. It's hard. There's, last couple months have been pretty difficult, and I'm still trying to be there for people as best I can. I don't know. Again, it's just like a choice, and I feel like I genuinely like helping people. And so if somebody's like, it's a big deal if somebody comes to me in the first place.
Right.
And so that always, I guess, like, makes it easier to want to be positive for them or help them be positive or help them see the positive things. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good at, like, I'm pretty realistic, and I'm pretty good at seeing things for what they are. And so even if something's bad, I can be like, that's bad. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But then being able to do that, it also really, like, because when you can address something honestly, and for what it is, then you can start to scrape away what it's not, and you can start to, like, be like, okay, maybe this isn't the worst case scenario. Then if this is what happened, and then from there it's easier. I feel like to try to find any kind of, silver lining or any positivity to pull from it. So I don't know. I think I just again, it goes back to choosing. I choose to try to see things positively. And I really do feel like when you're real about something and you can see if it's a bad situation, you can see it as it's a bad situation. I think it's easy to kind of or not easy, but you're able to pull positives from it. Or just encourage. I don't know. I even if something's bad and I can't give them anything good, like, I have no advice. The only thing I can do is encourage them to, keep, hanging there and, keep trying to find things that'll help them deal with what they're going through, or just keep offering to be like, hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this tonight, or let's talk about this tomorrow too. That's I don't know, different things. What about for you? Because I know people come to you because you're like Mike and I. We have the same circle of friends, but we also have obviously our or other little circles? And I know Mike's the dude that people go to.
Yeah, it's for me. It's more of like, I mean, I completely agree with you. Like keeping positive and having that like frame of mind and mentality is definitely a choice. Like, you know, you have to be thinking positively in order to kind of maintain that. I think for me, more than anything, is that I'm very blunt and straight to the point, but I'm also like, I'm really good at just sitting. I've learned to be. I wasn't always this way, but I've learned to be good at just listening. Like I sometimes, and it happens especially quite a bit. Like especially in my job too. Like my job is I'm a trainer, and it's in a healthcare setting, and there's a lot of people that like, you know, we have classes where we talk about customer service and just talking to patients and talking to you know, people that are, you know, calling in. And one of the big things to understand is that like sometimes people just need like to validate their feelings and to validate their emotions, and they just need somebody to talk to. And so one of the, you know, big things that we try and convey to somebody who is in training or new is that like, hey, sometimes people are going to come at you. Sometimes people are going to come at you negatively. Sometimes they're going to come at you emotionally. Sometimes they're going to come at you like from every different like aspect. But what you've got to remember is like, it's not personal, because people have, you know, different ways of coping, different ways of dealing with things. And so you kind of just, you have to just kind of take the time to listen and take the time to just try and understand and be empathetic to somebody's situation. So, you know, for me, like I try and stay as positive as possible. I have my moments where I'm like, I have little mini meltdowns that I tend to freak out, but for the most part, like, yeah, like you have to just make that decision to be positive. And I just listen as much as possible. One thing that I used to do a lot was I would think that people were coming to me literally like for advice. And so I would try and just give advice as much as I could. And then I realized that sometimes it's like, you know, you don't always have to have an answer.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I hope that answers it.
I think so. Good question.
So let's jump over to was it Marie, who asked, "Are there any fun touring stories?"
Oh man. I'm trying to.
So we gotta. That's a tough question because there's a lot of fun touring stories.
We need. It's like whenever people ask me this, I always have to say like I need you to be as like specific as you can about something like what's the best, like what's a tour story from, you know, like you know, at the show, at a party, you know, while traveling, or you know what I mean, like because there's so much to pull from. There's so much. Oh my gosh.
I can actually, I do have, so there's one story that I know we can tell because there's video of it. And it's not necessarily a tour story. It was actually, well, it was tour for you guys. For us, it was, we played the local shows and then we were home, but we were actually at my house at a party. It was the Destruction of a Rose tour. It was us, you guys, Destruction of a Rose, and the Magician showed up to my house. There's actually, if you look up the NBR Destruction of a Rose tour video, all of us played at this spot in Riverside, which is no longer there, called Red Planet Records. I think it was Red Planet. That what it was? I think so. Okay. And they had this tiny little stage, and like, you know, any show there looked packed because it was such a small place. And I remember us breaking the stage. Like we broke a hole in the stage because it was like plywood. And the more bands that played, the worse it got. So that by the time, like, I think you guys played, because I think you guys headlined that show, there was just a hole that everybody had to play around. And whatever we made do. And then we went back to the house and had one of those nights where we're just like, hey, everybody's home. We're going to have a nice little party, like nice little house party. And randomly, there's a magician at the house. And this guy's doing like card tricks, and he's doing like all these crazy, like it would be like,
illusions.
yeah, he'd tell you to pull a card, and then he'd be like, is this your card? No. Is this your card? No. Is this your card? No. He'd be like, really? It's none of those 3 cards? And then the 3 cards that were on the table, turns out it's one of those cards, or some other weird stuff where he'd be like, oh man, maybe we lost it, or maybe it's outside, and then it'd be like a card on the outside of the sliding glass door in the backyard.
Sure, it's on your pocket. And be like,
Yeah. Like, what? And there's also, if you guys really want to go back, there's it's a telling video of the time, because I have really bad facial hair. Martin has really bad hair. He had the mullet at the time. I was wearing a deep NBR V-neck with the gold print.
Oh my gosh, the floral print. one of my joys is when little Jesus makes my, he'll just randomly text me and be like, "Hey, do you remember when Martin used to wear fedoras?" It's always about Martin. He'll just tell me like, "Hey, do you remember when Martin used to wear fake glasses?" That'll just be like what he'll text me. Like
Just
nothing
the most
else.
random text.
Yeah, nothing like how you doing or nothing. And then like I'll respond and then he won't say anything. Tour story, man. Jeez, I'm trying to think of one that like won't throw anyone
That won't get anybody in trouble. I mean, I guess there's Warped Tour stories that are pretty tame.
Actually, I'll say one. So, and I don't think this is. I mean, I'm gonna say the bands are involved, but I don't think this is a bad thing. We were at it was when we were on tour with 100th and Kills and Thrills, I think. Yeah, and then someone else. But anyway, we had just played the show, and we were staying at this. It was like a big property, like a big house, and it's just a kind of wild night. I don't know how, but one of the dudes from 100th had a taser.
Okay.
Like I don't
Like
know,
a real taser, or like
a real taser.
Okay.
And like I don't think it was theirs. I think they just like found it at the house, and then they're just like going around tasing people. And like I remember I got so mad. Like it was funny because half people like you could tase like, oh, that hurt, ha ha ha. Dude, I was pissed because I got tased in the leg and it hurt so bad.
Were you wearing shorts or pants?
No, I was wearing pants and it still hurt. But anyway, that was kind of, and then we all got kicked out of that house. It wasn't the tasers though. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I think what caused that. But anyway, yeah. So there was a night where we all got tasered pretty much, and it was the dudes. It was who was it from 100th? Might have been Andy. Anyway, but yeah, 100th tasered us. It's fun.
I have a. Maybe I shouldn't tell that story. No, I can tell that story. It's about me. So when we were on Warped Tour, or when I was on Warped Tour, I was dating a girl at the time, and I remember there was one night where we were in Florida, and one of the bands that we were with, their producer for all the records that they had done was in town and showed up with a tray of bubble hash brownies, right? So mind you, like this is back in the day when I used to partake in the devil's lettuce. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like bubble hash brownies, not a big deal, right? And so I go to get on the bus and they're like, hey, try these out. And they're like, but just take a spoonful. It's not that hard, or it's strong, whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. So I took a little plastic spoonful, and I was like, oh, this is nothing. So I took 2, right? So I go about the day, and like, I'm on doing whatever I need to do. And then we had an early bus call that night. So I told my girlfriend at the time, who was home, said, hey, we have an early bus call. So like, I'm gonna, once we get on the road and get moving, I'll throw some headphones on. We'll FaceTime each other, right? So We're on the back of the bus. We had just gotten started, and we were watching Seinfeld in the back in the back lounge. And then, a few of us are all hanging out and talking, and then, like that, it's 4 hours later. Like I passed out. Like I just completely fell asleep. I woke up to like 30 text messages, like, and mind you, this was a Friday night. It was a Friday night, and I was getting like, I stayed home on a Friday night to talk to you, and now you're not even answering your fucking phone. Like I was getting cussed out, like just text after text after text after text, and I was just like, oh my god. And I was like, and I woke up in the lounge. My phone had fallen on the floor, so I didn't even feel it going off. And we had been asleep so long that Seinfeld had played all the way through on the DVD, and it was just on the main DVD menu, like the bass line. Yeah. And like it was just looping on the bass line over and over and over again. And I was like, oh no. So I went to go get into my bunk, and I was just like, I had a top bunk. I couldn't even climb up into my bunk. I was just so like out of it that I tried to jump up on my bunk, and I fell. And then I had to climb back up again. And then I like eventually got on FaceTime. I was like, I'm so sorry, we didn't have reception. Service. And she knows this story by now, but still, I was like, oh my bad. We were just there's no service out there in Orlando, Florida. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Not my finest hour, but it happens.
We'll go to the next question, because I feel like that was my bad, because when I saw that question, I was like thinking, okay,
Should be more specific.
Yeah, well, I was like, oh, I'll have time to think of something, and then I just didn't think about anything at all.
All right, so more questions from Brad. How does the stress and strain on you impact your faith or mental health, and what do you do to find your peace?
I think, how does the stress and strain on tour impact?
On tour. There you go.
Yeah.
Autocorrect. So how does the stress and strain on tour impact your faith or mental health, and what do you do to find your peace?
So for on tour, my faith was definitely always, it always took a hit. My mental health took a hit on tour. I don't know. I pray a lot in general, but on tour, I definitely would pray a lot. That was kind of one of the ways that kind of helped me get peace again. Sometimes I would watch, especially towards the last years of my touring. Sometimes I'd watch not necessarily a sermon, but just watching talks, definitely that had to do with I don't know, different things about I don't know, I guess I'll explain it. Different aspects of the Bible, or stories of the Bible broken down differently. So I mean, that was one of the ways I kind of would help, that would help me with my personal faith. I'd have to go look for things, because I'm not somebody that will just read the Bible just to read the Bible. If I do read it, I have to have it's because I'm looking for a specific thing that I want to have, something in my life that's going on. I want to find more clarity, so I'll look for it in that way. But other than that, I don't know. I'll call my brother. Sometimes I'll ask him for anything he can send me positively, any passages that he think will help.
Your younger brother?
Yeah. And then I've also there's a couple guys from other bands that I would reach out to also for faith stuff. Yeah. But for mental health, I mean, that took a huge hit on tour, especially because I didn't really know how to protect myself from a lot of what I was hearing. And so what I would do to find peace, I don't know, I would just try to find different things. Like for me, a lot of how I would deal with stuff on tour would be to get away. And or just little moments of walking to go get coffee somewhere, or You know, sitting in the van by myself before doors or something. You know, I had different things. Like I had the what was that? I had the Marvel comic book app on my phone.
Mm-hmm.
That was like really helpful for me. I played fantasy baseball, so depending on what time of the year it was, I had fantasy baseball to kind of keep my mind busy and kind of like bring me back down, decompress me. And so, sometimes also it's like it was something that was kind of cool, and I always felt like it was such a good timing. Was like when I felt overwhelmed. Sometimes I felt like I'd always run into somebody like from a different band, from one of the bands on tour, and that we could have like a talk and we could like both kind of like decompress, you know. And I always felt like those would come at a good time, you know, because you'd want to make that connection with someone on the tour that you maybe either didn't know that well yet, you know, or an old friend, and you kind of go and catch up, and it really kind of takes your mind out of, you know, whatever's, you know, eating at you or stressing you out. So yeah, I don't know. I found it in different ways on tour that kind of would bring me back to some kind of peace.
Okay. I mean, I don't really have much to say on that topic, if I'm being completely honest. But I will say that, like, I think that touring and keeping like your mental health and peace and stuff like that got easier, for me anyways, with this sounds so dumb, but like got easier with like unlimited data on cell phones and stuff like that, right?
That was helpful.
Because then you can really start, like, you can watch the things that kind of, you know, that you can go into your own comfort zone, or you could zone out, or you could listen, you like stream music nonstop without having to worry about like, oh my God, how am I going to pay for the bill for this? You know?
That's so funny. This is kind of a joke, but not really. But it's like, I remember, you know, our earlier tours having to still use maps, like print out stuff.
Yeah.
You know, before we had like an actual like GPS.
You'd have to MapQuest.
A different GPS that's not on your phone.
The Garmin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a TomTom, I think it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a
dude. It was that I remember like I always mix it up, but I think it was when Jason quit, and I think when he quit, he took his time, or maybe it was Chris.
No, it was Chris.
Was it Chris?
Yeah.
When Chris quit, he took his TomTom, and we were like screwed. We had to like print out stuff, and then until we finally bought one.
Yeah. To think like, and this is gonna date us and make us sound super old, but to think that like now you can do all of that on your phone,
everything
is like mind blowing to me.
Itineraries, like everything, you can just send. You know, I'm sure you can do like Google Docs that people can all just log into.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to having an actual like tour book.
Yeah.
That people don't probably I mean,
the binder that had all the stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So another question from Brad. How do you notice the glory days when you're in them? How do you cherish them and make sure you get the most out of them?
So for me, I think it was hard for me to really like know that I was in them, because I've always felt like I was trying to get to the next spot. Like I was always chasing the carrot. I felt like in my head, like I never felt like never felt complacent at where we were at or anything like that. Like I never felt like, okay, we're in a good spot now. It was always like, this is cool, but we gotta keep working, pushing hard so that we get, you know, to this spot. So I wasn't very good at that on tour, recognizing like what would be like glory days, I guess, on tour. Like, because even when like when we were doing our biggest tours, I was probably the most stressed I probably had ever been, just because I was talking to more people, and then just a lot of stuff with my own mental health. But
there's also something to say about like, as the tours get better and as the band grows, there's bigger sets of problems.
Yeah.
And bigger things that come with it. Were you ever a fan of The Office?
No. I mean, I don't not like The Office, but I was never like big into it.
There's that.
Seen a couple episodes.
It reminds me of that clip where Andy, Ed Helms' character, said something along the lines of like, I wish there was a way. There was a way to know that you were in the good old days before they're gone, or something like that. Like, or I wish there was a way. I wish there was a way you knew you were in the good old days before you're out of them, or something like that. But I just remember it just being so like poignant and so like, oh wow, like, yeah, damn. That's facts. It's. I think the glory days are considered the glory days for a reason, right? Like you look back and you go, wow, this was great.
I jokingly like to say like, oh, that's when I was fun.
I think that you just have to this sounds cheesy, but you just have to kind of live your life like, like today is going to be your best day. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and keep, like when we talked about being positive and stuff, like even something as simple as like, I don't like to leave the house without getting dressed, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're not, if I leave the house just in like sweats and like a old t-shirt or like slides or something like that, it's because I'm not getting out of my car. Yeah. Right. But there's always this mentality of like, hey, like take a shower every morning, like kind of make yourself presentable, because you don't know what's going to happen throughout the day. Right. You don't know what first impressions you're going to make. You don't know what opportunities you're going to get throughout the day. You don't know who you're going to meet. It's been years since we've felt that way. But so it's just one of those things where, you have to kind of approach everything just like, hey, like you never know what's going to come of this.
Either pat yourself on the back where you're at because you're alive and surviving. And if you don't feel like you want to pat yourself on the back, then you should at least encourage yourself and be like, all right, this is really, I'm laying down, like this is where I can start laying down the groundwork to like where I want to go or where I want to be. Yeah. Because I actually do remember having like talking to myself on some of our early tours and just knowing, being like, this is okay. This is okay. Like we're still building our name. It's gonna be like this, but if we can make one fan tonight, then we've improved our band. If we can, hopefully we get tighter, playing. I don't know. I felt like I was pretty good, like in the bad or like the bad tours and the early tours, to kind of have hope and be like, it's not going to stay this way. At least I really hope it doesn't. Yeah. So,
yeah. I was the opposite. Like I look back and I wish I had the mentality that I have now.
Should have toured with us more.
Like I fully bought into like the whole fake it till you make it type thing, and then I just was upset that things wouldn't be going like, or bad turnout, whatever the case may be. Like fuck, and I would let all that shit stress me out, and
I think our band MBR was so good at being like, we've played in front of nobody in Riverside. Yeah. We get to do it now in a different state.
Yeah. Facts.
And so that was cool. It's like, hey, well, we're at a new place and there's only 10 people here. Fine.
So that being said, after so much time off, despite having the love for it, where did you find your energy to focus it into the new music?
Well, like I've kind of answered this before, where I was excited just to have new music, because I've always had stuff I want to say. Yeah. And I definitely had it coming to when I knew we were like going into like writing mode for reals. But I gave myself, I had to be like selective, right? So I during my Thanksgiving break, which was a week, and then my Christmas break, which was 2 weeks. Those are like when I would really allow myself to like get into like the writing of it, and like allow myself to do like, posts from the MBR page, or like, as silly as that sounds, but like being able to like do that and like talk to people more from like under MBR, if that makes sense. I don't know. But I was excited. I was always excited, and then but once it became like once I knew it was like real and like we were actually like music was coming in for like, you know, for whatever the project, whatever it was gonna be, EP or album. I was excited, and I had, you know, especially for the time that I put aside for that, which was like my Thanksgiving break and my Christmas break.
I remember you being a little torn because you're like, oh, this is like the new music sounds so cool, but I can't do anything right now. I
can't do it right now.
I can't spare the like brain power to focus on this right now.
It sounds so crazy thinking back on it now, because like stepping back, I'm kind of like, well, I feel like I could have been able to write. No, like I know myself, and I'm thankful that I was able to like create those boundaries pretty early on with the guys too, because they didn't push me. That was good.
All right. So, question from Abel: do you get nervous performing, and then how do you manage to go with the music?
So, no, I don't get nervous. I get excited, and I heard that that's actually a thing. Like,
you have no nerves at all. Interesting.
If anything, I get if I get nervous, it's because I'm sick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, my voice might crack tonight or something.
Yeah.
But as far as like, even like when MBR was awful in high school, like even when we were so bad, I always had this attitude, like I kind of had an attitude of like, I'm happy to be playing.
Yeah.
Like I'm excited to play. And then as you know, as we kind of the later years, and then we started to have like our lyrics had a little more substance to them, and I felt like we actually had things to say. Then it almost became like it wasn't really nervous. I was just like, I was excited to share our music. I was excited to like do this. And I think that also comes from like, so I'm a big believer in practice. And so in sports, same thing. I was never really nervous in sports. Like I was never, you know, like I could be that kid in the 9th inning, you know, 2 outs or whatever. Like, and I'm like, yeah, give me like, I'll bat. Yeah. Like I want to bat right now. Or, you know, hit the ball to me. Like hit the ball to me. Like and it's because I would practice like crazy. Yeah. You know? And so when you practice, you're prepared. So there's nothing, you know, nothing new should really happen, you know? And so when it came to music, like MBR, we used to practice like crazy. Martin, I've probably said this before. Martin, oh, you've experienced it too. I forget that. So Martin plays drums in torture culture as well. So they get to experience this, but
well, he doesn't play with us fully. He played on the record. He's not committing. But
my
best friend not committing
for no bragging rights practices when Martin joined the band, and it's just one of those things where like no one ever questioned it. It was just what we did, and it was Martin. If we're playing a song and we mess up, we stop and we start all over. We go completely to the beginning. We don't. Oh, let's take it from that second chorus. Or you know what? Hey, let's take it from the end of the verse. No. Yeah. Like without like Martin doesn't even. There's never a discussion. It was just like, all right, let's do it again.
Yeah.
Like
which I completely agree with though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so just in general, no bragging rights practices, like when in between tours or before we started touring like heavily, we used to practice a ton. And then you know, and then like as we started to tour more, maybe we didn't practice as much, but it's like we were playing the same songs.
But you're playing, the same set every night.
Yeah. And so, you know, there was no you know, I prepared from like for myself on my end, I would prepare. I would run and I would do all my warm-ups. Every day I was doing something vocally so that when tour started, I was ready to go. And so I never got nervous. I was just like, it was like I was just excited. I was like, you know, I was ready to do it. You know, I feel like I'll be excited in March. Like I don't think I'll be nervous for that reason. I think I'll be excited.
I feel excited. There's always the way it goes with me. I'm excited all the way up until the like 5 minutes right before we go on. And it's always been like this. Like that 5 minutes where I'm like get warmed up and then like get ready to go on. That's when like the nerves kick in. And it's like I think it's an anxiety thing. Like I'm like, oh, Okay. Like, you know,
That's where like I.
but the second like,
Yeah.
first note hits, I'm golden, but it's that like 5 minutes in between where like you're walking on stage or everybody's like getting, you know, plugged in or is getting ready. And that's for me where like I feel nervous always. Like even if I'm like fully practiced, even if I'm like we've got this, like I feel nervous. I don't know if it's just like a lifelong anxiety thing or not.
Did you have like a set way of how you prepared before each set?
Yeah.
I was gonna say, for me, a lot of what would also not allow me to get nervous was like, I knew, like I have an hour before I set, is like when I start to like, I go through like the singing routine. Like I make my way to if I know I can warm up in the green room, then I'll like make my way to the green room. If I can't, I have to find like some like obscure corner.
I would like go to the van, like just
yeah. And so I had my routine. I did my stretches were the same every tour. I'd stretch the same way. I would do the same boring vocal warm up. But once I got through it, that was even more of like a confidence thing. Like I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like I'm good to go.
Yeah.
So thank you, Abel, for the question.
Back to more Brad questions. How do you switch gears between essentially a life of touring and then being home working?
It got easier for me. For me personally, it got easier as we started to wind down. Like before we even knew we were going to do a hiatus or any of that stuff. I was able to work at the coffee shop in between tours. And it was kind of weird coming back. Like that adjustment was like weird just because like my sleep was off. Like I had to like get back into like getting used to being around the, you know, coffee shop environment. And I was still like getting used to like my coworkers. But then like later on after I'd done it, like I think 2 years or whatever, coming back from tour, it was almost nice because I like looked forward to working. I looked forward to being at the shop. I looked forward to like hanging out with my coworkers. So work was nice. It was I don't know. I genuinely liked the coffee shop environment and everything, especially my shop that I worked at. So yeah, that adjustment wasn't too terribly bad. It was I felt like it was pretty kind of I felt like it was quick for me. Like I think we mentioned like in one of the other podcasts how it's like just adjusting once touring stopped completely.
Yeah.
And having to get back into like, you know, like this is what my life is now. You know, I had a lot of you know, growing pains in that, but I felt like I adjusted pretty quickly.
Nice. So Brad has so many questions that I actually kind of want to save some of these for next week also. So we're going to jump around. But so we got a question from Mojo.
Joseph.
From Joseph. Which, by the way, we know that Joseph just lost his father. His father just passed away. So, dude, we're really, really sorry to hear that. I know it's not an easy scenario. It's not an easy situation. But so he asked, and this kind of ties in, how and what song do you use as a coping mechanism? And he said that you wrote to accept the passing of a loved one. So I don't know if he means an NBR song that you wrote, or maybe I'll kind of extend his question. Sorry, but like, is there a go-to song that you listen to?
Of NBR?
Just in general. Like,
For Lost?
I would say NBR for Lost, and then also a song in general that's non-NBR.
Well, I mean, for Lost, I wrote a song called More Than Just Goodbye, which is about my grandmother. And so that was helpful for me, like as a way of coping too. I remember when it came out. Like on the new album, obviously, like we have our song The Wait, which is, you know, I wrote that for a friend that we had lost. And also, you know, a song like that, I kind of have in mind the friends that we've lost, you know, like a long, you know, I've lost several friends now since, you know, my time doing music, since losing Will. And so, but a song that I would turn to for like not MBR for loss.
It's a tough question because
That's
I
hard,
don't
man.
know that I don't think I could pinpoint like one song.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, cause it's weird, right? Cause I feel like if I'm grieving, if I even want to listen to music, I don't know if I'm gonna want to like to try to get something that'll like. Okay, I'll say this. There is a song that I kind of will use to kind of make me. It's almost like it gets me back to like, almost like getting your priorities right or like perspective right, and it's from the band Conditions, and it's the song "When It Won't Save You," and like that's a song that I've found myself like looking for, and I'm like I feel like I need to hear this song. There's a couple. There's a song by Ignite called "Slow Down," and that one always, I feel like it's another one of the songs I kind of like when I'm feeling, I don't know, if I'm feeling down or whatever it is, like that's the song I'll kind of look for. Or if I feel like tense or like stressed out or super anxious, "Slow Down" is a song I remember like I'll look for to play. I don't know. There's like a lot. There's like a lot, and there's also like I don't think there's like a certain song that I kind of.
For me, I've always kind of, and it's not really necessarily for a loss, but it's kind of applied across the board to whenever, like you said, kind of like bringing you back to priorities and stuff like that. For me, it was always City and Color, Coming Home, because it was always just the, you know, like the idea of whether you're touring, no matter what the situation is, whether you're traveling, like finding that home space. And I always kind of related it to like finding my center, like no matter where I was at or what I was doing. And also because with that song, for so long, because as a kid, I guess let's go a little bit deeper into backstory and stuff. I was born in California, but I've moved all over the place, especially all over the South, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, up to Connecticut, back down to Georgia. You know, I was the new kid in school every year, essentially. Yeah. So like from 6 until high school, I was always the new kid. So it was just, I got so used to always being on the move that like it felt weird to stay in one place for a long period of time. So then when it came to like coming back out here and then like getting into a band and like playing music and stuff like that all felt so natural to just be like, cool, yeah, let's go. Like, you know, like I had so many different apartments, so many different places, just because it was like, oh, cool, yeah, all right, new year, move. And so like when I would hear Coming Home, or even that whole City and Color record, it was just like this idea of like, okay, finding home, and then not in a sense of like, you know, 4 walls and like, you know, a place to live, but like just basically finding my center type thing. So I think for me, that was probably always, you know,
what's funny about that song is I when I hear that song, it hits me in a different way. I remember being at the coffee shop, and this was like 3 years into like No Bragging Rights, like not touring anymore. And that song came on, and the line, I never take any pictures because I know I'll just be right back.
Yeah.
It like started to haunt me because I was just like, I started to like think about like,
yeah,
because I definitely, there was times when I was like, you know, like anything, like, you know, like small things were like, oh, I don't have to go eat there. Like we'll be back, I'm sure, like next year.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, you know. Very few times where I felt like I should probably, it's when I got like a better phone too. And I was like, I should probably like try to take pictures because maybe this isn't going to be a forever thing. Which is weird to think in the middle of touring, but.
Which is kind of a side tangent. I'm really bad with like taking pictures.
I'm too.
Like I'm like, there's huge pieces and chunks of like my life where there's just no photos. Like I could tell you stories and I would have no evidence to like back it up, just because I don't know. I even like even my family, like I don't think we kept like family photo albums, stuff like that. Like my family, the extended family has photos and stuff, but for us, it's never like a really big thing. So,
which is probably for me, it's probably because my mom is like opposite. My mom is like takes a million pictures of everything, documents everything, and so I think part of me like kind of started to do that maybe towards the end, but. Yeah. I don't know. I just, when I think about that, when I hear that song, I always think of like, oh, I should have done this more, or I should have saved this from tour, or I should have, I don't know. Yeah. It puts me in a weird place.
That's funny. It's crazy the way music will hit people completely differently. Yep. So, okay. So, we had a question from Weirdo. Cool. Do you have any tattoos, Mike?
So this is I don't have any tattoos.
I don't. Have you ever publicly talked about why?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think like very few. Yeah, I think of like I've had this conversation with very few people. So I've been in like I've listened to punk rock. Like punk rock was like my favorite type of music when I was 10 years old. That's when I bought my first Green Day CD, and I figured out they were a punk band. So anyway, so punk rock. And I remember thinking like, I want to get tattoos. It's because like, I thought they looked so cool, like on Rancid. I remember seeing them, like, oh my gosh, they look so rad. And so I always thought I was going to get tattoos. So when I was like, I don't even know how old I was. Not 18 for sure. But like, what was 16 years old? There's this band that I heard, and they were fast, and they were rad. Like they moved really well on stage and stuff. They carried themselves almost like before it was cool to be in a pop punk band and carry yourself like you're in a hardcore band. This band did it, and I remember thinking like, dude, they're fast. These guys are super punk rock. I'm gonna get their band initials tattooed on my calves. That's like, and maybe I'll put like flames around them or something. And so, mind you, this would have been, this thinking was probably like 2001 maybe. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get ANFG on the back of my calves for A Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were called. Well, I don't know, 6 months later, they dropped their first like big album. And it was like super radio. It was like poppy.
Yeah.
It was good, but at the same time, I was just like...
It wasn't what you fell in love with at first, yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So, and once when they were like on like the radio and on MTV and stuff, I was just like, oh my... So I was already in high school. This was happening. So by high school, I was already kind of out of like mainstream stuff. I still like Green Day and I still like Blink and, you know... But I definitely was more into like more like underground, like punk rock stuff. And so it just like shook me in my core that not also had their sound changed, but they just went by, they dropped the A in their name and they started just going by Newfound Glory.
Yeah.
And so that like shook me because I was like, dude, things change and they can change fast.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, well, dang, what if I would have like been able to have that tattoo? Then I'd be stuck with this tattoo of like the band that doesn't even go by that name anymore. Like 6 months ago.
With flames around it.
Probably stars. Who knows? You know, I'm a product of my time.
Yeah.
And so like I wish it was much deeper than that, but that literally is what's kept me from getting tattoos was because I just realized like, oh, like things change and they can change quickly.
Right.
And so, and then also as I got like much older, like when I was like probably in the later years of touring with MBR, I'd have tattoo friends that were just like, dude, like let me reserve your back, you know, if you get tattooed, or like let me reserve your chest and I'll get your chest whenever you want to do it, or you know. And I just started thinking like, dude, I'd rather just have paintings, and I can just put those in my house, like my tattoo ideas. I'd rather have them as paintings. So, I haven't gone around to that, but I feel like I need to now that I've said it. And I can actually afford to pay dude, and for tattoo ideas.
Yeah.
But as paintings, because now I just don't even want tattoos. But
I think at this point you've gone so long without tattoos that like to blemish your skin, and this is coming from somebody who is tattooed, to blemish your skin at this point seems like blasphemy.
dude, I will say this: I've never shared this out loud, but I had a dream not long ago. Maybe it might have been like, I guess a year ago now, if that. I had a dream that my brother had got like just like a half sleeve, whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember just being like, wait, what? I'm like, wait, what? And he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I got it for grandma and then for mom and dad. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, dude, are you serious? And it looked cool on my brother.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, oh fuck, maybe should I get one then? Should I get matching ones? But even in my dream, I didn't get it, even though I thought it looked really cool. My brother would never get a tattoo.
Never get tattooed.
But in my dream, I was just so like, I couldn't believe it because he got, and it looked cool in my dream. And so I was like, oh shit, should I do that too? But I did it in my dream and I have it in person.
I think at this point, and it's funny that you mentioned band tattoos because I have No Bragging Rights lyrics tattooed on me.
He sure does.
Which I don't really think about a lot, to be honest. Every now and then I'm like, oh yeah. I sometimes I completely forget, but it's a very obscure.
It can mean anything. No,
on to glory, on to death, both fine by me. It sounded really cool, really tough at the time.
Is that Neely Trader?
Yeah. So, yeah, things change, and then you become embarrassed by this. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, I mean, and also I don't mean to shit on Martin or Ryan, but like some of the tattoos they got on tour, it made me very happy that I was getting tattoos. I was like,
yeah,
that's what you got. Okay, cool.
I'm very much the guy that gets like buyer's remorse a lot because I just do stuff like on a whim. And when it comes to like tattoos, like I had to strongly fight all my urges to just get every tattoo that I ever thought of because I would be blasted right now. But there's a reason I'm not. It's because, well, one, like I'd been wanting to get tattoos since I was a kid. I remember even asking my dad at like 6, like, I want to get like a dude playing basketball like on my shoulder. My dad's like, no, you're an idiot. Like just, but like I was broke, right? Like you're broke. You can't afford to pay for stuff. Like, and for me, like I pretty much was out living on my own as early as I could. Right. So I was always, okay, now I got to pay bills. You're working shit jobs. You're not making a lot of money. So like it's not like I lived at home, didn't have to pay rent and stuff. And I could just afford to save, $1,000 to go get tattooed. And so it was always like so limited in the time that I could go get tattooed. And then later on when I started making money, I'm like, well, there's other more important stuff that I need to do, like to do or take care of, But yeah, so there was definitely like, and that's another thing too. I'm really picky about who tattoos me. Not to say I don't have a couple bad tattoos, because I'm sure I do. But like I to me, when it came to getting tattooed, I never wanted to have like that buyer's remorse of like, oh, this is on me like forever,
Another thing too, and I don't like, I'm not saying this to sound like, oh, like I wouldn't want to, but like I always, if it would feel weird for me to not pay somebody like a lot to give them to do a tattoo, because I think it's rad that like
people are willing to do it for free.
Yeah. Like I think that's cool, but it's like at the same time it's like, dude, like this is like art. Like this is your art.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, tattoos. They're cool. I don't have any.
Okay, let's see. Let's pick another couple here. So, Abel, have you ever cried while singing a song that hits your soul?
Yeah. I mean,
just leave it at that. Okay, next question.
I know. I've gone tears during like a lot of, actually, like, truth be told, Like Hope Theory was really hard for me first like couple years of that. I mean, actually, pretty much, pretty much when that came out, because like Will had passed away, and so it was very hard to not think about that. And then what made that song even harder for me was that it didn't just become Will anymore. It started to become other people that I knew that were struggling, or it became people that we'd lose, And so that song, it almost got worse for me.
Yeah.
As a, even though it's supposed to be like a uplift, like a bright days are coming and stuff like that. It was hard. It's really hard for me because I put myself like it's really hard for me to I can't just do something. I have to connect to something super hard, and it was that song. I feel like got harder for me. So yeah.
We had and it's sad that I can't remember the name of the songs on my own record, but
he's on the Creative Void Spotify right now.
I'm literally on Creative Void Spotify right now because I can't remember the name of the song. There was one song.
Gotham. Gotham.
No. It was. I think it was Nice Choice, Nice Life. Oh no, Nothing to Lose. It was Nothing to Lose. Was about a friend of ours who used to play in a band with me before Creative Void, who was just like spiraling and going down this path of like, it was one of those cases where this is somebody that's so close to you and it's your friend, and like, at the same time they're harming themselves. They're putting themselves in like the worst situation, knowingly putting themselves in the worst situations. Yeah. And, just like fully taking advantage of everybody around them because of the situation that they were in. Right. And then to the point where like the depression, like attempted suicide, the depression was so bad. And I remember writing that song and, I wrote it and just thinking like, okay, it's like, this is what it is. But then I remember getting really emotional playing that song live. Yeah. And him being there and him knowing that it was about him and like having this moment between the two of us, like nobody else was in on, nobody else knew. And like, I couldn't, like I was trying so hard to keep it together and I couldn't. And then what's crazy now is like years and years later, now he's thriving.
Awesome.
Dude. And he hit me up, a couple months back, straight up out of nowhere, hit me up and was just like, hey, I want to apologize to you. And just went down the list of like all these things. He's like, looking back, I took full advantage of the scenario. I took full advantage of the situation. Like you were doing everything you could to help me and I didn't give a shit. Like it was like, it caught me so off guard that I was like, oh, like fuck man. Like,
Damn.
But yeah, I remember at that time I was just like there was only so much more that I could do to try and help this situation, to try and help you, to try and be there for you. And like, obviously at this point, like the suicide attempts and stuff like that didn't, thank God, didn't
Right.
work. But at the same time, you're like, dude, you're literally killing yourself.
Yeah.
And what can I do? Like, what else can I do? So yeah, there's definitely been
I don't know.
emotional times.
I think I knew that about this song, but I didn't know you guys had that moment. Like I'm doing it live.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. And it was just definitely like a weird thing. All right. Got a couple more. Question from Ty. This is actually a good question. If you could narrow it down to 3, what 3 things have you learned from your parents?
Oh, dude. Oh, shoot. Okay. What 3 things have I learned from my parents? My mom, I guess both of them, but my mom was always so big on be kind to everybody. Like, And then she'd always, like, I guess my grandpa used to say, like, be kind to people as you're climbing up the ladder, because if you fall, those are the people that can either catch you on your way down, or they'll watch you fall because you didn't help them or whatever, you know. So I think just like trying to be kind to people. So I always learn from my parents or learn from my mom. My dad, just being patient and just like, I mean, his was always like, you know, be patient. God has a plan. You know, even if you don't see it working, it's happening. But also just patience in general is something has been really helpful in my life, or just with music, my, you know, current job. And so kindness, patience. What's another thing? Shoot, I don't even know.
Be extra with everything that you do.
Yeah. Be extra with decorating.
Be extra with everything in your life, because it makes everyone around you happy.
You know what? I think something that they've kind of both put in me is just kind of like invest in yourself, or like it's okay to invest in yourself, basically. And I really got that more, obviously, after, you know, going back to school and all that stuff and debt. But it's like, you know, for them, they're always really encouraging, like, dude, like, you know, this is an investment in yourself. Like, you're gonna, you know, it's worth it if it's on you, kind of thing. So I kind of felt that with music, with No Bragging Rights too. Like, I felt like anything I did for the band, I felt like it was worth it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, investing in myself, patience, and I guess just try to be like kind to others or be good to others.
Yeah.
But yours?
So for me, a lot of it was from my dad, and with him, it was a lot of like, so when I was a kid, it wasn't, I always tell my dad this, it wasn't until after I got like, essentially kicked out of the house and, you know, that was when I started to realize, kind of like the reality of what my childhood was, and like when we were moving around and why we were moving around and stuff like that. And one of the big things that I learned from my dad, like he was always like kind of on his grind, right? So he was just like, when I was a kid, he would always make sure that like I had everything I needed. Even if that meant, and I didn't really put the pieces together and learn this until later on, but like, even if that meant that like the old Isuzu rodeo that we had sitting in the driveway that needed to be repaired wasn't going to get repaired because I had stuff that I needed for school or something like that. Right. Like, to the point where, you know, he was always trying to provide like the best possible life that he could give me. And so seeing, you know, and I can't tell his story because it's not my place to tell his story, but seeing and knowing now everything that he went through to build himself from where he was, even at the time when like I was a kid and born, to where he is now, like, has just been this constant like grind and work and work ethic. And seeing that, and especially when I got older and like really taking a step back and looking at it, like that was one of the biggest things, was just like, you know, to never stop working. Right. Like, you know me now, like I'm always scheming, like, oh, we can do this,
He's the idea,
you know,
master,
like,
man. He's got
so,
ideas.
and I got a lot of that from him. Like, it was always this constant growth and progression, and just learning that and keeping that mentality, you know. And then I even talk about it in Rat Race on the Creative Void record. There's that line, stay on your grind, son, every day, 24 hours is what it takes. Like, that was literally a like reference to my dad. Cool. Being like, you know, it's just you have to constantly work. And I think just applying that to everything else. Another thing that I got from him was like, you know, like you, I grew up in the church, right? My grandfather was like a very well-known Adventist pastor, especially in the Filipino community. But for me, I was like, for the first part of my life, I was raised in the church. And then when I got older and we started moving around, my dad kind of instilled this, like, look, you're going to develop your own faith, your own relationship, your own ideals and beliefs and stuff like that. And, you know, we're not going to force you to do anything or be somebody. Like, you're going to develop that relationship yourself. And it's kind of been like a nice experience to be open-minded to things, because then, you know, like, we have friends that are Catholic, we have friends that are Christian, we have friends that are like, yeah, God's like the Easter bunny, you know what I mean? Like, you know, so like you have so many different ideals and everything. And then, like, I even remember, and this is like the times that we grew up in, and then like growing up in the South, right? Like, I still remember, like there was still racism, right, back in the day. And then being in the South, being the only Filipino kid in the South, being the only like, I think there were 2 Filipino kids in Georgia when I was in high school. And I remember the second kid coming to the school, and I was like, who are you? Like, who's this other Filipino guy that's joining the school? Why are you here? Hold on a second. I'm supposed to be the only one. But I still remember, like, my dad kind of instilling in me, like, yo, don't ever look at anybody differently. Don't ever treat anybody differently. Don't ever, you know, look at anybody like they're less than you, you know, like, and taking away all of those, like, I guess, like, racist tendencies that you would come across in the South. And that to me was like a big deal and a big turning point for me too, because I remember being a kid and being like, I'm gonna say I was like 7 or 8 years old, and my dad was working, my mom was working, and somebody needed to pick me up from school. And I'll never forget this dude, like this big like player black dude named Mandel picked me up from school in this old school Cadillac, like Eldorado. And that's how I got into like R&B music and shit, because my dad trusted this dude, like, hey, pick my son up from school, like take him home or whatever. And that's how I got into like R&B and hip hop and all that shit. It's because of that experience. It's kind of like weird and wild to think about. And while Mike refills his water cup, we just got a group message on the message with myself, Martin, and Mike of Martin sending spooky posts on TikTok. It looks like it's some sort of scary video of a guy laying in bed, probably being messed with by ghosts.
What was it? Los Spookies?
Los Spookies.
That's cool.
Okay. And then let's do this last question, and then we're going to save the rest for next week so we don't go too long. And this is another one from Ty, but I think this was going to spark conversation. What's the first song you learned to play on guitar, and what's the story behind it?
Oh, okay. So I know the first song I learned to play guitar, at least correctly, like all the way through. And it's because, I took guitar lessons, and I was only in it for about a month, which, anyway. So the song that Ryan Severs and I both learned at the same time, because we both took lessons. Ryan Severs, our original bass player. We learned Offspring, All I Want.
Okay.
And I think I had already kind of, maybe I'd learned by ear other songs by then, but that was the first time where I was like, like I learned, like he showed me what the chords were. I knew what I was playing. And I remember thinking, okay, I got it. Like I knew like power chords and stuff for that song. It was also very difficult for me to be like shown how to do it and stuff. And I just remember thinking at that moment, and I remember Ryan Sievers like picking it up like that.
Yeah.
Like, and his parts were harder. And then I just remember thinking like, man, Ryan's gonna be really good at bass. I'm not gonna be good at guitar. Like I just remember having like, and I know it sounds like this is like literally like my first like real lesson, and I just remember thinking like, dude, like this is, I'm okay, if like I learned, I like okay, I got it, I struggled, I figured it out, I can play this. I think this is okay if I stay at this rate. I have what I need that I think I can go and try to write a song now.
Yeah.
Like that was like my thinking. And so I think that's why I didn't stay in my lessons. I should have. I would have been a good guitar player. But I remember walking away from that and just being like, okay, Ryan Sievers is going to be great at bass, and hopefully I can write music. Like I'm not going to be a good guitar player because I like struggle to learn all I want. And then, but I think it was good because from there I was just like, okay, I think I know more or less what I can do to write songs now. So.
Which I'm sure we've talked about because we're 10 episodes deep at this point, but a lot of people probably don't know or don't realize that you played guitar for No Bragging Rights in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like, and then at some point it was like, okay, I got to pass off the reins here.
Yeah. It's Jose Mendoza on drums, Ryan Sievers on bass, and then me on guitar. We're just 3-piece pop punk band, like ska pop punk band. Yeah, I wrote pretty much everything until I gave up guitar, which was like 2004. Like basically when Chris joined the band, when Chris Williams joined the band, I kind of had already started to like give up guitar. Because I just realized that he writes like cooler stuff than I do, so I'm like, that's fine. I don't need it. As long as I can write lyrics, I'm fine. And then yeah, 2004 I think is when I stopped playing guitar. So I only really played, I guess, for like, 4 years, 99, 98, I guess, technically.
See, I think the first thing I ever learned to play on guitar, I want to say was something like I was determined to learn how to play that riff from Sweet Child of Mine, Guns N' Roses.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, did you?
I was not cleanly, but I learned how to play it,
Dang.
and then after that, I just learned the chords, how to play the song. But yeah, I remember my first guitar was a BC Rich Mockingbird. You remember those like metal guitars that like weren't comfortable to hold sitting down, like you had to stand up. My first guitar was a BC Rich Mockingbird, and then I was determined to like learn Sweet Child of Mine.
Sick.
And then like because I grew up, when I first got into like rock and roll and stuff, it was all like classic, you know, like classic rock, AC/DC and like Guns N' Roses and the Eagles, Eric Clapton. Like I really wanted to learn how to play Layla, but that wasn't happening at that point in time. Yeah, so like that's what got me started essentially. And then
Can you play like church chords well and stuff?
I mean, I don't play guitar enough anymore to like, I mean, yes, but like I don't, like there's 4 guitars in this house and I touch them once a month maybe, you know what I mean?
Dude, I never really learned to play a church. Like I can play, like I know what they are. I know like a G, E and C, D. Like I know, like I pretty much know them. I just never played them ever.
Yeah.
I always did power chords.
Yeah.
And like the big so, and I think like, so punk rock, if you're learning your instrument, like punk rock is nice for a guitar because you can learn it like that.
Yeah.
But you're gonna stay there because there's like very few punk bands that like, at least that I was into, where like the guitars don't really do much. Like I could just play fast. That's all I could really do. I could do bar leads here and there, and like maybe like quick little riffs. But then it's like I'm learning. I could be learning. What's that song? Long Way or Long View from Green Day.
Mm-hmm.
And on guitar, that's it's super easy. Whereas on bass, it's like this really cool bass line, and you have to like know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So it's just like I don't know. Like I learned, I remember even like later on, like towards the end of my guitar playing, like I was just getting decent enough to like learn like thrice riffs.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was like at the end of like my guitar playing. Like I was handing off my guitar by that point.
Yeah.
And then I was meeting kids that had only been playing for months, and they were like riffing, doing solos, and I'm like, what the heck? And it's like, oh, because they were into like Kill Switch and like As They Die.
Yeah, because that's what they were influenced by was like that riffy stuff. It's funny because so the other day, now the band I play in now, like we said, Torture Culture is a lot more straight hardcore stuff. And because of that, the guitars are really simple, right? This whole time, like I just didn't think about like ever learning how to play the songs on guitar, right? I just whatever. And then me and Martin were just sitting here one day killing time, and I had one of the acoustic guitars, he had the other one, and I was just like messing around power chords and stuff like that. And then I was like, wait, this is Burn. Like, and then Martin's like, yeah, you just played the whole song. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then I'm just like, oh wait, now this is this is Caged, and I'm just like sitting, I'm like, holy shit, these songs are really easy to play. And Martin's like, yeah, dude, you got the whole record down now.
Dude,
so
sick.
Yeah, I keep telling Martin that I want to pick up a guitar, like a new guitar, and get into just writing again. But
dude,
once again, not a great guitar player.
I don't think I've ever attempted to really learn an MBR song.
Really?
Like since I've been out, yeah. Like I think maybe like I've kind of like fucked around with like a chorus.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, maybe I've tried to learn a chorus just so I could like whatever, but to like learn like an actual like MBR song.
Even like with the acoustic, like the MPHC stuff, you weren't even playing. Were you playing guitar on those?
Yeah, I wrote those songs.
Okay.
Chris just made them sound better.
Gotcha. But live, you wouldn't play.
I won't play. I won't play guitar. I feel gross. I won't play guitar live.
Okay.
And sing just because like
I can't do it.
Yeah,
I get thrown off.
Yeah, like so for my acoustic stuff, I'll write it, and then I'll show Chris because Chris is basically my acoustic guitar player, and so I show it to Chris, and then Chris just like makes it sound prettier. Like he knows how.
Yeah.
He knows how to play pretty chords, and so, yeah, that's about it with my guitar playing. With Burner State, I've written. I have one of the songs that we're gonna hopefully record is a song I wrote. It's called "Tick It Out." It's been chopped up a ton.
I like that song though.
It's a fun one, but that was one I wrote on guitar, and then we all kind of chipped away at it to piece it together better. I think that's it though as far as Burner State. There's a couple songs I wrote that I kind of started to realize like my style for what like there's a time when we were all trying to figure out like what our style is for
which is still undetermined.
Yeah, I know. We still have like yeah. The unheard kind of ruins that, I think. Anyways, but yeah, I don't really play much guitar anymore. I want to. I really do. I know. I probably like hold me to this. I think when I start like after next week, I want to start playing guitar again, just to kind of even if it's just for my mental health. I want to start playing.
Didn't you just get your guitar all tuned up and fixed up too? You're ready.
You have my cab.
I have your little... Yeah.
My cab?
Your cab. Yeah. Let's talk about this, Mike. By cab, Mike is referencing a little...
My amp, I meant.
A little 8-inch Black Star combo amp. Like, it's like this big.
It's like the size of a lunchbox. a lunchbox. It's a lunchbox that makes sound.
Yeah, I do. I have air.
My amp.
Your amp. I got your half stack in the garage. We're good to go.
Oh, dude. It's so small. Have you heard it though?
No, because I don't have the power adapter. Chris didn't have the adapter for it.
Wow, Chris.
So I'm gonna go buy one.
Dude.
But that being said, on that note, we'll cut it off here. We do have some other questions that you guys submitted. We're gonna go ahead and save those for next week.
Yeah.
So if you didn't hear your question this week, we'll get to it next week. That being said, once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys made it this far and you guys listened, what did we say last week?
Oh shoot, I don't think we checked it.
I don't think anybody hit us up anyways. Yeah. Nobody made it through
No one made it through
that 2.5 hour Spider-Man conversation.
I wanted to do this. One of the reasons I was excited to do the intro was because I was going to say what I'm about to say at the beginning, which is, if you're listening to this on, wherever you're listening to us, if you can write, if the writing review feature is available, please write a review. Mm-hmm. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like it, and then subscribe to us. That would be helpful. What other things? What else can people do?
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Follow us on Spotify.
Follow us Spotify, iTunes, essentially anywhere that you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our OnlyFans. We asked.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, we asked people to tell us what their favorite link on the link tree was, and a couple people caught our OnlyFans link on there. If not, go check it out. But the cool thing is that like with every episode, we have seen more and more people tuning in, so we know that you guys are telling your friends about us, which is fucking rad.
Awesome.
Because we like doing this. We like hanging out with you guys. And I know that we've talked about this before, but like we are in the process of kind of building. Like we want to, more than anything, we want to make this like a community, right? We want to make this like even for those of you that were listening to the live earlier when Mike was on IG Live, like we want to set up a place like that that's available like at all times, right? Like even if we're not on live, the idea is I think we want to set up like a Discord community or a Discord server so that we can kind of keep that community built and growing. Even like, let's say if we're not on a live stream, even if it's, like maybe I'm in there, maybe Mike's in there, maybe neither of us are in there, but you guys are talking to each other. Like that's what we want to build. We want to build just a place for all the homies to hang out.
I mean, just in today's live, our buddy Joseph had mentioned that he lost his dad, and
just seeing people in the live,
just people jumping
reach
in
out,
the chat.
it's like sick.
Yeah, I missed that.
Maybe we can start calling everybody that listens to us our bandit crew.
I like that.
A little raccoon bandit crew.
Bandit crew. I dig
it. But yeah, that being said, thank you guys so much. I know this was kind of a longer one because we just jumped into questions and probably talked a bunch of nonsense. Mike kept blowing his nose. We kept wandering off a little bit. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next week. We love you.
Thanks for supporting. Peace.